Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a final hot take of the evening. The San Jose mayor, Democratic mayor of course, ignored his own guidelines for his own Thanksgiving. We're seeing this more and more because there's more and more rules. These people know the rules are ridiculous, but they don't care. Rules for thee and not for me. This it doesn't matter if this politician's Democrat, Republican, alien. Take them out of office. Recall them. Impeach them. They don't deserve not an iota of power when they do this stuff. This is completely hypocritical. He should resign if he had any sense of principle whatsoever. Probably doesn't. So recall him. Get rid of your mayor. Recall. Doesn't matter. You'll get a Republican. Doesn't matter. Okay? This hypocrisy should not stand. We got him. We got Pelosi. We got Gavin Newsom, Lori Lightfoot, my own Governor Phil Murphy. They're hypocrites. They should be taken out of office and never, ever allowed the reins of power again. But this is par for the course of a Biden presidency. Biden signals support for bailing out cities and states impacted by beer virus. What that should say is Joe Biden signals support for bailing out cities and states impacted by the riots that they let go on by not allowing the cops to arrest people. This is what we have to look forward to. Paying for all the toys that got broken. And by the way, he won't even hand the money to the people who lost their businesses. He'll hand the money to the cities, who will then use that money to glad handle those who are politically connected, a lot of corporations as well, and thereby cementing their power in those very, very Democrat districts. This won't go back to helping small businesses, maybe a few crumbs, but most of it will go to corporations or into the pockets of well-connected businessmen at a local level. That's what, it's bribes. It's bribes to keep people aligned, to keep them all happy, to pay off all the people who work so hard to cheat for Joe Biden. In New Jersey lawmakers pass a bill to adopt social justice education in public schools. And this is probably going to be critical race theory. If you're in New Jersey, I know some of my fans are, please write for all the good it will do, Tyrant Governor Phil Murphy, and please tell him not to sign, do we have a number of the bill here? Yeah, well, just tell him you don't want social justice taught in school. That's fine to teach about racism, but this will install a new racism and social justice educational platform. Basically critical race theory. That's basically what it is. And if you don't believe me, well, the proposal was first introduced by students associated with the Black Lives Matter movement earlier this year. Students. And also a 12-year-old student who runs a youth organization called Rise Against Hate. Because when I think policy for a state and an educational system, I don't ask educators, I ask a 12-year-old kid. And I take his advice. This is what's coming. So, it's a bit dark. It's going to be some dark years if Biden gets in, which unfortunately is looking more and more likely by the day. But I'd like to end on a positive note. This is from Revolver. It's kind of interesting little publication. Trump's ace. Win or lose, he can still devastate the deep state with these perfectly timed moves. And these sound pretty cool. So first, pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. This is something I hope really, really happens. Nothing would infuriate Washington more to see Assange a free man. That's exactly why Trump should do it. Yeah. Same thing with Edward Snowden. It would be, to watch the meltdown would be glorious. They would melt down almost as much about that as they would a second term of Trump. Pardon Martin Shkreli. Shkreli is in prison because he I don't even know what he did. Is this the guy with the EpiPens? I think it is, right? Isn't this the EpiPens guy? He's supposedly in money for securities fraud. But, who knows? But that's what they suggest. I don't really know about that guy, so I can't say either way. But this third one I agree with. Declassify everything. Information asymmetry is a key to the deep state's control over the American population. Elite bureaucrats hoard it, claiming that hidden information justifies their ever-escalating power. Yes, blow it apart. The CIA, the FBI, blow it up. Release all the information on JFK and MLK, everything. Just release it all. Saudi Arabia's involvement in 9/11, all of it. That's been mostly declassified, and some of the UFO stuff too. Just open the doors. Just open the doors. Number 4, burn down the deep state. This path would require the most work, but also be the most worthwhile. You could fire a lot of people, and it looks like he's on track to do that. The president has set his own best example this month with the purge of several top civilian officers in the Defense Department, but he shouldn't stop there. He should also sweep away the accumulated offal at the tops of the State Department, FBI, CIA, and other entrenched bureaucracies. The bias in every instance should be towards removing anyone who is drunk from the D.C. watering hole for too long. Yes. Get rid of them. Fire them all. Get all U.S. troops home. Couldn't agree with this one more. This I would have put as number 1. The president's order cutting the troop totals in Afghanistan is a welcome move, but even now, he's kept a skeleton crew of 2,500 in each country. Take them out. Take them home. Get them out now. Make Biden put them back, if he insists. You should take these guys out. Do an executive order and get them out. Now, unfortunately, after what happened in Syria, I have a feeling that he would encounter some resistance on this, because if these people drag their feet for a month, that's all they'd have to do. But he should make the attempt. I would really appreciate it. And finally, this is a funny one, resign 2 hours early, just so Democrats have to remake and reprint everything calling Biden the 46th president. I don't know how that, would that make him the 45th president? No. It would still make him the 46th president, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? I don't know what that would do. Maybe that would technically put him in a first term for 2 hours. He couldn't run for a second term, but who knows? I don't know. Resigning 2 hours early doesn't seem to do anything. But you could do what some previous presidents done: leave the White House a wreck. I would, make sure I didn't leave anything behind for Biden. That thief, he'll take everything. He'd take everything that isn't nailed down. Old Joe, assuming he's got his marbles going in there. At this point, I don't even think Biden has his marbles left. There's another incident where he dropped his mask and walked off stage, and somebody had to run up and get it for him. I mean, he's going to have servants running around him all day long because he's shaky as hell. He's just shaky as hell. There's no way this guy lasts 2 years. No way Biden lasts 2 years in that role. By the time they roll around to the midterms, it's going to be a new president. I guarantee it. The interesting thing will be who Harris will pick for a VP. So that could be very interesting. Her VP pick. I wonder who it will be. She'll probably be pressured to appoint somebody who's very woke and wonderful. definitely another female. Definitely another female. Possibly another woman of color. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Samantha Power, someone like that. Another disaster waiting in the wings. But we'll see. But yeah, if Trump finally loses, and if he's not doing it already, he should be teeing this stuff up, just so he could do it all in his last couple of days. I think probably by, that last week in office, we'll know for sure that he's going out, and then he could do all this. But, the troop levels, that'll be the toughest one. He'd have to do that now. And even if he ordered them now, I don't even think he could get them out in a month, the way things are. They're so deep in country, and these bases are tied to other bases supporting things. I mean, really, you had to start pulling out troops from the furthest bases first, and then, I don't know if he should even bother, quite frankly, because if Biden's just going to put them all back, it'll make it worse in some respects. So they'll force more fights, because the moment he pulls these guys out of bases, the Taliban will just overrun everything in Afghanistan. And, he may not want to have to deal with the PR of that. And Biden could point to it and say, see, he's irresponsible. Look at what he's done, blah, blah, blah. I mean, only if he could guarantee that the Taliban wouldn't just immediately overrun the bases and kill everybody in Kabul. Maybe. Otherwise, I think it's almost a pointless exercise, especially if Biden's going to send the troops back. I mean, you could look at it this way. Yeah, it forces Biden to act, but I don't know. I don't know, man. But, yeah, I'd love to see Trump declassify everything. Man, that would be sweet. It would be like Julian Assange was president for a day. Pardon these two guys, have them over to the White House like on one of your last days. Oh man, that would be amazing. That would be such an FU to the deep state. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I still am holding out hope that Trump has a magic rabbit somewhere in his hat.